panel discussions. Mr. Krishnamani holds the position of Director for Honeywell Technology Solutions Lab Private Limited, Madurai, and leads the Global Sustainability Center of Excellence. Prior to that, he served as Senior Manager, Research and Development for the Hydroprocessing, Renewable Energy and Gas Processing Development Group in Honeywell Technology Solutions, Gurgaon. He has about 21 years of experience in refinery operations. Very glad to be meeting you here, sir. Let's give a huge round of applause to him, please. May I also invite Mr. Oliver Sam, Chief Human Resources Officer, VIDA, to please join here on the dais. Let's give a huge round of applause. He leads the global strategy and people function for VDOT group of companies. As a people leader, he is responsible for designing and executing the talent strategy, focusing on leadership, culture, ESG, and social impact. We are very glad that you people are here for us. Thank you so much. You can take over the stage.
Hello. Yeah, very good morning. Can all of you hear? Okay. Thank you very much for being here. And this is going to be an exciting topic for all of us. And for those, your student colleagues who are still having their coffee and tea, tell them Oliver is here. He's heading HR. So your prospects are much better if you are inside the auditorium than outside the auditorium right now. For the rest of the people, I'll just give you a brief context of what we're going to discuss. And then we'll let the panel take over. My name is Manivannan. I head Desicrew Solutions. As she said, we are an IIT Madras incubated company. And our job has been to take jobs to where people are instead of making people move to where jobs are, which is a migration to large cities. We are 1,500 people strong and 70% of the workforce are women, where the industry aspires to be around 50%. The model has already shown that there is one element which we can outscore the big boys. Right? And this is not about Desicrew. I'll come back to some of the elements of Desicrew during the conversation. But I'm very happy to talk about the context of the topic. Right? We all talk about the development, career, jobs. And if you look at the capitalism in the world, there are alternate views which have emerged in the recent times, questioning even the liberalization. But now there is a common consensus across geographies about sustainability. So, and since I'm the moderator, you will have to bear with me because every time I'm going to talk, I'm going to bring a book. And it's not to promote the book, but to bring the concept and the relevance to us. There is a recent book which was released in last quarter. It's called The Frugal Economy. This author is Navi Raju. Navi is a celebrated author, thinker, management thinker, and he is in TN right now. And what he is arguing in that book, if you look at the sustainability part, people have talked about triple Ps. So we all know the people, planet, and the profit part. But interestingly, Navi is arguing in his world, there are three Ps, but it is not the profit, it is places. He calls it, the locations are much more important for sustainability. And he's talking about a concept called triple regeneration, which is essentially how to preserve the unique culture, the local economies, along with the people and their habitats. And he's of course putting forward theories saying that the entire counties in US should start thinking about frugal economies, which means how to do more with less. The relevant for us is if you can replace the counties with districts for India, maybe that's a comparable number, right? So here we are here to talk about how do we ensure that the progress which is happening in large cities and as a country as a whole, how do we translate to the emerging hubs? And we have an excellent panel here today. Even from geography point of view, you will hear Madurai, you'll have Trichy, you'll have Coimbatore, and of course, I will tell you some of the locations a little later during the session. So that's the context for the day. Now I will request my panel to make an introductory remark on their organization a little bit and their personal background. And I'm also going to ask a question to each one of them so that you get the context of what they represent. I'll start with Chandra. So Chandra is from Infosys. So my question to Infosys is, it is fine for the state and for some of our believers to talk about emerging hubs and small cities. How does a global organization like Infosys look at emerging hubs when they have an option to open any delivery center anywhere in the world? That's my question, but Chandra can start with an introduction.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Good morning, a warm morning to all of you. Hope you are all doing well. This is Chandra Nandakumar. I'm based out of Chennai and I'm proud to be part of Infosys. This is a $19 billion organization and it's almost 3.3 lakh people, employees. There are the pulse or the foundation in which we have built this company, and again out of which we have nearly 30,000 people are in Tamil Nadu, right, and which is cutting across our Infosys Sholinganallur campus, which is around 6,000 people. Then we have Mahindra City campus is around 20,000 people. The rest of them in Coimbatore and few other smaller offices. And it's almost 1.6 billion revenues come out of this state for the company on an annual basis. I think the beauty of this topic is, if I go and look at my annual report, right, I can give you some good numbers for you. Just across the globe, we have almost 27 locations, which are like tier 2, tier 3 locations we have set up. And within India, we have set up 8 locations. The reason we set up these locations was primarily after COVID, people are struggling to come back to the main centers, right, where they join. So we built satellite offices in locations like Obali, Vizag, Coimbatore, Nagpur, Indore, and so on, right? So there are such 8 locations. And again, within Tamil Nadu, we set up Coimbatore, and Coimbatore has around nearly 2,600 people. Recently, we opened an additional campus too. That's also quite thriving. I want to keep some of this top, responses quite crisp so that, we cover all our panelists, and I'm giving it back to the moderator so that we can continue this dialogue. Thank you.
How do you compare these centers you mentioned, centers outside?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's about comparing these centers with the other hubs globally. See, the global hubs, we have multiple hubs in the US, right? Again, we didn't go into the tier 1 major cities. We set up hubs in locations like Phoenix, Hartford, Richardson. These are all not like tier 1 cities. These are tier 2 cities. So the way in which we set up hubs are like we didn't go for the senior most people. We would have kept a very lean senior team. And we looked for partnering with the local colleges, like community colleges, arts and science colleges or design colleges. And we created pathways or apprenticeship programs for these colleges, right? So this is not like, we felt that there is a recent phenomenon that you don't need a degree, right? You need skills. So in the concept of workforce and workplaces, we feel that the talent, if they're given an opportunity, even if they don't have a degree, through this practical exposure, they can be equivalent to a degree after some experience. That's how we designed this pathways, so working with these community colleges. And that's a huge experience for us because that can be easily replicated in these locations. Interestingly, in Coimbatore, for example, when we acquired a startup called Scava long back, right, the base for that company was in Coimbatore. Interestingly, they did some very, very fantastic one in e-commerce, right, when we acquired this company. So using that capability, that was our linchpin or the foundation on top of which we scaled up Coimbatore. And interestingly, post-COVID, many of the folks with their native or, their families back in the Coimbatore, they wanted to settle back, right? So we kind of connected the dots, synergized, and scaled up that actually. So the takeaway for just summary-wise, the partnership with the academic institutions, how we creatively come up with new programs, not just look at standard engineering colleges, look for other colleges. That is number one. Second is people who have industry experience, if they want to work closely with their parents, with their family, they want to go back to the roots. How do you find those talented individuals who go and lead, become leaders, right, for the next generation and cultivate talent in their locations? Those are the 2 takeaways. Hope that helps.
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
So my question to you, Krishna, while you talk about the Honeywell and the Madurai Center, I want to go back in time and see when the decision was made from the Honeywell side to go to Madurai, the context and why, because this is 20 years long. We are now talking about the emerging hubs, but 20 years back, somebody made a decision to go to Madurai. We'd like to hear from that.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, all. It's indeed a pleasure for me to address this panel. So first, I would like to thank the Umagine organizers for giving this opportunity, and also for Honeywell to give me this opportunity to represent and talk about our story. So just to give you a background, Honeywell in India is operating in approximately 19 locations. In fact, I was telling earlier to our co-panelists that we came to India 100 years before. So when the first refining operation came for producing petrol, diesel in 1900s early, so the Honeywell process was deployed to basically crack crude oil to produce those fuels. So that's how we started the journey. But in terms of engineering capability, Honeywell came to India roughly 30 years back in Bangalore. In fact, coincidentally, we just celebrated 30 years of operation in India a month back. And then in Madurai, we came approximately, as sir mentioned, about 20 years back, or to be precise, 22 years. So I would like to share a very interesting story. So one of our founding father of Honeywell Technology Solution in India, Dr. Krishna, he was actually, the anecdote is like he was traveling between Kanyakumari to Bangalore, and then in the train, and when he was passing through the Madurai region, he found a lot of students getting into the train, getting off in different stations, and then he started having a very good conversation to understand what they do. And he came to understand that most of the students were studying engineering, and then they were actually going to colleges. And then during the conversation, he asked, like, what are you planning to do after your engineering? So many of them said, like, we have planned to go either to Chennai or to Bangalore. And that's how, when the kind of he felt some kind of a thought that, okay, there is a huge talent. So this is a magnet, and why can't we just go and get attached to this magnet? And why don't we start something in this region, because we have huge pool of talent? Because he could get the feel about the with the conversation about the capacity of the talent to deliver for his objectives. So that's how Honeywell set up its first campus in Madurai as a part of Tyagaraja College of Engineering. So we were part of that institute. We started our office, and we were mainly focused during that time on training engineers. That's how we started. But then, as any company, we started evolving in our engineering journey. We started first doing some software code testing, and then slowly started progressing towards making software which actually goes in developing a product. So that's the next phase of our journey was. As we started maturing in that, we went to the next phase where we started developing the software which goes into the product as a service, right? So that's how we went into that space. Meanwhile, we started adding some horizontal capabilities like enterprise IT, PLMs. We also started adding some capabilities in cybersecurity. And then very recently, we added capability on sustainability. So sustainability, when you say, it comes in multiple varieties. One is product stewardship. One is sustainability engineering. How do you design a product which itself is sustainable in the long run in terms of reducing the global environmental impact, like climate change or maybe global warming, ozone depletion? So how do you have a seemingly known product, but what is the sustainability story around it? Can we validate it? That's how we started that center. So we are on that path, and primarily we serve three market segments from our Madurai office. So one is the aerospace. We also focus on the security piece of the buildings, which includes intrusion control, access control, and so on and so forth. And as I said, the other two pieces, which is much more horizontal, like enterprise IT and sustainability. So very happy with operating from that space.
Thanks a lot, Krishna. It's very interesting that we heard from two large corporations, Infosys and Honeywell. Now we would like to go to another inspiring story. They started from Trichy. So Infosys and Honeywell went from the large cities to Coimbatore and Madurai. They started from Trichy, went the other way around. They are headquartered in Atlanta today. And starting, as they call it, from the terrace with 5 people, now they become a global corporation. I'm inviting Oliver to share that story. But the question to Oliver is, other than the passion the founders had for Trichy, what else did you choose Trichy for?
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mani sir. So, first of all, just to quickly introduce, I'm the CHRO and the Chief Strategy Officer for the VDAT group of companies. This is a topic I'm truly passionate about, so I'm very excited to be here and talk about it. Specifically with the fellow panelists, what Honeywell has done for Madurai and what Infosys has done for Coimbatore and other regions. And specifically, Mani himself has done tremendous work in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, like you can't even imagine the kind of work he's done. So very special to share the stage with them. I think VDAT group of companies, for us to simply put, Trichy is a hero of our journey. So this is our 15th year in Trichy, and we are based out of Atlanta, but our global operations and global capability center is based out of Trichy. And we look at talent and operations and growth in a very different view, because if you want to stay invested in a tier 2 or a tier 3 city, I think how we focus on talent, how you focus on people and process is very, very different. In 2018, the very first time we were talking to IIM, and IIM Trichy was like really surprised to see how we scaled up our global operations out of Trichy. And in fact, there's a case study with Harvard Business Review. You can actually go back and read that. It talks about growth of VDOT. Featured in Harvard Business Review. So I'm very, very passionate about this, and I'm very glad to share the stage. Let me know if there is anything. So I think the most important reason is, so if you look at a very objective view of Trichy, right, I think one, there is a very strong educational infrastructure with Trichy. So IIM, BIM, NIT is there. You have 100 different colleges in and around Trichy, which is very, very important, number one. Number two, I think the quality of life. Overall, if you look at Bangalore, Hyderabad, any of the major cities, there is an immense stress on infrastructure overall, real estate, your power, your water. There's a lot of issues when it comes to infrastructure. So cities like Trichy doesn't have that problem. So I think it's very, very important. Overall, if you look at the literacy rate, it's more than 95%. Very, very diverse set of people. Trichy I've seen in terms of people who can speak multiple languages, right? So it shows how diverse the city is. And the most important reason is we love the city.
I think that's a good enough reason for all of us. Thanks for the thanks to all the panelists. And now it's time to introduce some of the locations which I mentioned earlier. So Desicrew works out of the small towns and villages beyond even the cities we mentioned right now. We have delivery centers in Kollumangudi near Mailadurai, and we have Tuganaikan in Erode district. If some of these names are sounding a little strange to you, get used to it, because we got used to Phoenix, Hartford, Connecticut, and all of that. So it's high time we got used to all these names as well. And more about the work later. So let's move on quickly to the next rounds. We now, I think some of the panelists already covered during their introduction. It's about the talent, right? So a lot of stats are getting published. At NASSCOM, there is a report which is talking about the emerging hubs. They've analyzed the number of colleges, number of graduates, and all of that. All that is available for all of us. But that's not going to be enough. We need to understand how the performance or high performers are going to be coming from the emerging hubs. Chandra did mention about a very nice statement. I'm repeating it for emphasis. It is skills, not degrees. So that's time to introduce the next book I mentioned. So there is a book called Rise of Creative Class. This is a little dated, but the concept is very simple. They are also arguing the same thing. It is not degree. It is about people who can create human ability to create new things, new ideas, new technologies. That I can vouch coming from these areas, that we have abundance in these areas. The question is, how do we aggregate and how do we harness that? So I want my panelists to respond to the question about, can these emerging hubs match the rest of the world in terms of their ability? So there is a term which we now use in the industry. It's called talent density. So it's not about the number of people per city. It is about the density of high performers within the organization. So I want my panelists to quickly respond, maybe take 1 or 2 minutes. How do they see the talent density, which is the aggregation of high performance coming from these emerging hubs? Children.
Thank you, sir. I think, see, I'll tell you an anecdote from my experience. See, one of the CTOs who came for our meeting meeting the teams in one of our large locations. I don't want to name the location. People with that location might feel bad. So he was a very hardcore technician, right? He's a technologist and he's a CTO. And, he kind of came and did grill the team in terms of how quickly they can create a code, right? It was not in the AI days, it was not in the code generation days, those days, few years ago. The team in this one of the tier one locations, they are all used to certain ways of working. They take time, and it was not the client was not impressed, right? So the same client went to another location. So I flew with them to the other tier two location, and the tier two location didn't have the kind of huge number of people, but they had few beachheads or few smart folks, right? So who quickly impress the customer with their skill sets, right? So it's not about the quantity of the people; it's more about the skill sets, the depth, especially in technology, how the person is very hands-on, right? How he is closer to the code and various attributes in an application or a product. So that is where that individual expressed, and in fact, the client was questioning us why you couldn't replicate this from the smaller location to the other location, right? So if you see many of these tier two locations, there are a lot of innovation around products, deep tech, engineering. They're doing that because there is also less distractions for them, and there is a lot more ability to innovate, right? That's another observation. I think the larger experience we are seeing is, when we have more customers visit those locations in those tier two locations, the value that these locations can offer could be much more, right? I think it's one is a technology ability to do coding, come up with newer products, newer use cases. The other is the exposure to the customers. So it has to both have to join forces. I think that's how I would put it. While the capability and technology depth is there, and if we expose those tier two locations, teams to the customers will come up with newer problem statements. So these tier two talents could solve those problems, gain confidence, and go to the global stage. That's how I would put it. Yeah, back to you.
Fantastic. Krishna?
So when it comes to us, right, as I mentioned in my earlier round, the talent was the magnet that actually brought Honeywell to Madurai. But having said that, Honeywell is also focusing on how to create a structured talent management system in place. So I'll give you 3 examples through how we actually do, right? So number one, we have something what we call it as a value-added course or some kind of a industry university connect program, wherein we take some topics of recent interest, like for example, advanced air mobility, sustainability, and then we partner with local universities and then offer this course. So what happens is it's about a 12-hour course, and our experts from our center partner with the professors, go and teach it. So it serves multiple purpose. It gives a perspective to the students about what are the industry or practitioners' view of the subject. Not only from academic perspective, they are able to learn it. So that's one thing we do. So this actually helps us to create a talent workforce which is aligned to our trends. So that's number one. The second thing that we do is we take some industry problems and then kind of convert that into a problem statement and run some hackathons with the different universities around us. So again, this is another opportunity where we could see students in live action, and it also gives them an exposure about how their academic knowledge can be used for solving some real world industry challenges, right? So, and these are done for 2 days, sometimes it's run on a 48-hour cycle. So it gives them a lot of exposure, and we just don't look only at the technical merit of the solution. We also look at from a industrial adaptability perspective, how far the adoption can happen this solution. So this gives a different perspective to students. So that way we also try to bring that feel to the student community. The third one, we have a global CSR program. Honeywell Hometown Solution is a corporate sustainability program. Through the ICT Academy, we have partnered with them, and then we in fact launched through the Honorable Minister for IT, 5 sustainability centers of excellence with the Madurai Kamaraj University. So since we are a global sustainability center of excellence operating out of Madurai, one of its kind in the entire world for Honeywell, with that domain knowledge, we actually have created in partnership with ICT Academy, and 5 universities we got and gave that training. So this way, not only engineering, these universities are not from engineering, they are from science and arts background, and they are actually learning it. And through this, we try to address three things. One, from students' perspective, get a feel about what's happening, the latest things. Second, for the universities, it gives them a good rapport with the companies, and then able to use it as an opportunity to create internship opportunities, even their job opportunities. And third, from our perspective, we are able to give back to the region where we are operating. We are operating from Madurai region, and we just love to do our small thing to the region. So that's the way we try to be a champion of talent management in that region.
Thanks, Krishna. Oliver?
Thank you, Krishna. So I think we have a slightly different view on this in terms of we approach this tier-less. And the reason is it takes one company, one leader to actually believe in a city. So we need Sridhar Vembu or a Sid Ahmed to create what we have created over a period of time. But if we want to really set up and scale in a tier 2 city, I think talent is the most important element to it. And we do it in different ways. One, I think there is a tremendous amount of learning opportunities what we create. First of all, internally. Okay, we are talking about, so last year we launched a leadership mentoring program called Propel, where me and the CEO, we actually picked up 15 leaders who will actually run our global capability center in the next 5-7 years, right? I see this is most important when it comes to the commitment to talent development, number one. Number two, externally, we also partnered with IM for a course for our leaders, specifically even for our women leaders. So we picked up 25 promising women leaders from Trichy, and they went ahead and attended a 3-day workshop with IM. And our focus was, in fact, IM Trichy did not have a curriculum then. So we roped in a curriculum from Harvard and from Stanford and different regions, and we helped them co-create the curriculum for the program. Number three, I think we truly believe in home birds. So if somebody is from Trichy and they're moving from US to Trichy or Dubai to Trichy, we will latch on to them, right? And I have some best guys like, so they're from IBM, from Capgemini, from our sustainability leader. She worked in UN for some time. Our head of operations, he worked for IBM for some time. So it's very important to look at who can bring talent to the table. I think there are different views in terms of how we can scale up talent. And what we have learned is over a period of time, the template what worked for larger cities doesn't work for tier 2. Okay, and this has to be a disproportionate focus. I'm very glad that VDAT as a company focuses on talent development, so we were obviously able to scale up. This is not a satellite center for us, right? So this is our global capability center. Our marketing, branding, our ESG, our culture, our HR, everything runs from Trichy for us. So
I think Oliver has already given a lot of recommendations to government and everybody in this speech. We'll come to it, but it's very interesting he mentioned about the home birds concept. When we started, we couldn't attract talent from the large cities to move to smaller locations. Still, it's a challenge for us because 15 years back, it was not even a concept which anybody believed. Of course, the clients believed, that's why we are here. But I used to tell my HR team at that time that our recruitment strategy or the ads should be in the railway stations and the airports of the large cities. Because the same concept, people who have come, every Monday they're landing up in the cities for their job. When they see that there is an option there, they'll go back. Of course, now we have people from the large corporations working with us. Thanks for that, Oliver.
Just wanted to quickly add a thing. So we were talking, me and Krishna were talking in the speakers lounge about home birds. Right then, Kritika from NASCOM sent me a resume. Somebody's from Trichy, do you want to consider? So I think how we build a brand around the company is very, very important so that people know that for VDAT, Trichy is the hero of their journey.
Thanks. So we'll quickly move to the next topic, which is also related. It's not about the talent. I think at least the panelists are very convinced that talent is there and the density is also there. It is also about creating the ecosystem and ensuring that the clients, the investors, and the rest of the stakeholders also buy into this concept. So we're going to deep dive a little bit on that part. Here, my reference book would be a book called Progressive Capitalism. This is by Ro Khanna. He's one of the Indian origin senator, where he's arguing even for US, the development is largely located in the coastal cities. We know the East Coast, West Coast, all the cities by names. But his argument is, how do we translate this into benefit to rural America, right? So his thought about is, how do we translate this? I think that's highly relevant for us. Even our coastal cities are the big ones, except maybe the Delhi ones. So here I would request the panel to talk about one or two key things which they require to change in the ecosystem. They've already talked about collaboration with the existing universities, teaching IIMs a two-hour thing. So all that is already happening from the panel, but I would like to have a general suggestion. What do we expect the ecosystem to support with? Krishna, maybe we can start with you this time.
Sure. So I think one of the few things when someone comes to an emerging tier, right, they look for an ecosystem wherein they can kind of plug and play. So just to draw a parallel, right, if you want to set up an industry, we have this industrial complex where the utilities, so on and so forth, everything is there. You just go and starts working, right? So similarly, drawing that to a software base, right, you need to have that kind of a ecosystem. So thanks to the government, I think ELCOT and tidal parks are coming up across different cities, like be it in Toothukudi or it in Tanjavur or Tirunelveli. So that actually brings good, like you don't need to worry about whether you need to have an office, you need to have a permit, you need to have who is going to run my HVAC, right? So those things are cleared. So that's a great initiative by the government, right? I would say. So that is still there in many of the different tier cities. The second part is with respect to how do you build the professional rapport? Because once you have a team working there, you are going to have, like, for example, we are operating for 22 years. Many of our senior leaders who are here, actually, they have been in the company for 22 years. They know they own the design of certain key products. To have a good professional rapport, they need to have someone who they can approach on a weekend to talk, right? So that is where the professional bodies come in. So for Madurai, we do have CAA. So CAA does quite a bit of activities around. So I think maybe NASCOM or others, if they start coming in and start bringing that thematic conferences, right, bringing people across different location, it actually creates a good buzz because you kind of start engaging and have those conversations. This will reassure people that, okay, I'm not kind of left behind or anything by in this location, right? So I think these are the two things just want to share from my perspective.
I'll start off with talent, actually. So if the colleges can really truly double down on how they invest on training people, I think that is number one help we can definitely get. Number two, I'll take a quick analogy of, in 2009, in TCS started the first ever US delivery center in Cincinnati. So I was part of that core team which set up and scaled up the team. And we had promised 1,000 jobs with the governor of Ohio. And there were like payroll subsidies and grants, and there was a lot of things which really attracted us to Cincinnati as a location. So I think a government can come up with grants like that, where if you're investing in tier 2, there are opportunities for us to really see a true leverage across the board. So that is something we can definitely do. And most importantly, to keep the conversation very active. NASCOM, CII, it's important to keep continue to talking about what we can do for tier 2. Showcase the success stories of VDOT and Honeywell and other companies where we can where more people want to really move to tier 2. I think these three things will really help us.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. Before I hand over to Chandra, I'm just reminded our own journey, because when we started, when we used to go and tell the clients we are looking in villages and all of that, people thought we are some CSR organization. And of course, for a long time, we didn't make profit. So people, they're justified saying that we are a non-profit. But more importantly, when the conversation started talking about the seriousness of the objective, then Accenture, who coined the term called impact sourcing. So anybody and everybody, including the socially, economically disadvantaged communities, are clubbed together. So since we're talking about remote, we got clubbed there. So at least that was the title. So we used to get invited for NASCOM events and many of the events, but we'll be given some 17th row in the last day when nobody is there in the hall, right? From there, we are now into the mainstream where I'm wearing moderating. It tells you that the seriousness in the environment. Just want to add that a bit. I'll give it to Chandra.
Yeah, I think, see, if you really look at it as a pyramid, right, the foundation is, the kind of infrastructure for that from that location. in terms of roads and so on. The airport connectivity could be a very important thing, right? We may underestimate it, but many of our clients do not want to take too many hops, for example, right? So your target clients. That is one. From a social infrastructure standpoint, right? When somebody wants to move, they want their kids to study in decent schools with good boards like a CBSE and so on. And then the health facilities, right? So with hospitals, with the ability to take care of various ailments and all the equipments and advanced care, right, with the specialists. So that's another thing. And luckily in Tamil Nadu, we have that luxury, right, where we have one of the best medical facilities across all locations, even in tier 2 locations. Right. And another thing is interesting thing is the green power, right? Green power, if you really look at it, I don't know how many of you know this, Tamil Nadu ranks in the top 2 in the green power area, right? Be it the windmill or, all the sustainable energy generation, green energy, Tamil Nadu in the top 2. Right? That's a huge thing because today the customers are looking at states, corporations which focus on green energy. So how do you make sure that you attract, to those locations where green energy is entertained, right? So, and there's a huge selling point for Tamil Nadu. In fact, as more and more AI training happens, right, using the models, the data centers are going to consume a lot of power. So the states that are superior is going to attract a lot of talent. So the tier 2 locations will have a huge advantage in this. So finally, the individuals who come in should have a social life, right? You should, and we are partnering with the government, and government is also putting in place a lot of steps in terms of recreational places to hang out, jogging track may be underestimated, but could be a great place for networking, parks and so on, right? Interestingly, I lived in Chandigarh for 2 years. It's way back, 15 years back. That was one of the Lee Corbusier, one of the French architect, which developed the city, first modern city developed in India by Jawaharlal Nehru. And interestingly, that city has a unique concept. Each sector had a park, a place of worship and shops to go back. Right, so you have to think through those locations with that kind of a foundational model, step by step, layer by layer, put in place these building blocks. That's how I would summarize it. Back to you, sir.
It's a fantastic thought, Chandra. Just to quickly respond to your the infrastructure, which will come first? Will the clients come after the infra setup, or will the clients or the organization drive the ecosystem? We don't have to go beyond what has happened already. The Silicon Valley, which we know, is actually a valley of oranges. If you read Grapes of Wrath or any of those American classics, they really describe the Silicon Valley, which we don't know today, right? And closer home, Bangalore. I mean, many of us would know because this happened in our times, how Bangalore was in the early days. So I think we have a lot more headway compared to many of these, given the ecosystem which is already there. What we certainly need is a strategy, which is where we are going to go to the final version. We'll have one round on strategy. And here the reference book is the classic, The Art of War, right? 2 things, being proactive and knowing your competition. This is what the book kind of summarizes. I think for us who represent the emerging hubs in TN and we want the hubs to grow, it's important to know what that is in our context, right? So this round, I'm requesting the panelists to give me a strategy. If you were, not just for the government, it's not only the recommendation to the government. If we were to be looking at emerging hubs to go beyond even the Trichy's and Madurais, right? What would be the best strategy? And a couple of minutes each, then we will start off. Chandra, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think the strategy, it's about talent. Again, when you center on the talent, it's people is the first thing, right? So you partner with the institutions, right? That's very important. The supply chain of talent, right? How do you get back talent, which is the experience in the industry? So who can communicate with customers with conviction. So how do you make sure that the inflow of talent is there in terms of partnering with colleges, creating pathways for coming up with certification programs, skilling degrees, which are kind of acknowledged or stamped by a UGC and so on, right? So how do you do that? That's one very important topic. So the second aspect is the clients in terms of the business inflow, right? Either you should be a product company or a services company. If it's a product company, you have to sell the product. That's a different ball game. But if you're in a services organization, So you have to look for business. So you should have a sales and marketing. You should invest, make sure that the pipeline is there, invest in branding and marketing. So that is one important aspect. The second is on the technology. So you should have a USP for that location, right? So which technology, today AI is there everywhere. So AI is a good thing to put your bets on, right? So in terms of code assistance, for example, it's a great opportunity because coding assistants can improve your productivity, for example. So look for your USP in that location based on the, kind of exposure. For example, Mr. Krishna has chosen sustainability with Madurai, right? Like that, choose the right skill sets from a technology standpoint. Third is on the ecosystem strategy, again, working with stakeholders, working with government departments like LCOT, IT Ministry, and so on, working with the local corporations, making sure the facilities are there, working with private investors, right? They could be willing to invest in building some schools and hospitals and so on. So how do you proactively work with all of them, right? That's how I would put it in terms of summarizing it, right? Talent, clients, technology, skill sets, and lastly, the ecosystem. Yeah, back to you, sir.
So that's very good. And one of the things he mentioned about is promotion or the marketing part. Tirunelveli is not represented in the panel today, but you know that there are a lot of entrepreneurs in Tirunelveli who got together. And I think they even developed a site called Telecon Valley or something to get the attraction. But that's an excellent example where we are not really waiting for things to happen, but we are interested in making things happen. So this is wanted to share with you. We'll now go to Oliver and Krishna. I will also want to be a little brief, so that last few minutes we'll take questions from the audience because it's going to be boring. I know how boring my lecture is.
So first of all, my grandfather is from Tirunelveli, so if that helps, there is some representation in the panel. So I think the first thing, if somebody is looking at moving to a tier 2, I think we should believe in the city. I think we've always celebrated people who have come from Trichy and Madurai. They've gone and done great things outside the city. I think it's time for us to believe in the city now. We believe the people, we have to believe in the city. From a strategy standpoint, I think 3 things we need to look at: work, workforce, and workplace. Choose the right work. What kind of work you want to do from your tier 2? Is it based on the talent? Look at app dev, look at different kind of technology, what really suits you. Choose the right work. Number 2, workforce. We already spoke about talent, disproportionately focus on talent. How can you build it? Take the help across the board from the ecosystem, your colleges, your NASCOM, your CII. So I think everybody is ready to help us. And the third one is about the workplace. The real estate, make sure we build, the customers should be convinced that this is a place the work can be delivered. Whether it's about ODC setup or security, just make sure that if you invite the customer, they should be convinced that this is a place we should actually deliver the work from. So if you look at all these 3 things, I think you have a great strategy to start with.
Thank you. So what I would recommend is, especially if you are a global company and then you are going to set up a hub, right, in one of the emerging cities, I think you should have a anchoring COE or some kind of a thing which should be independent of other locations, right? So for example, in Madurai, we have a Global Sustainability Center of Excellence. So this is an independent organization which directly reports to our corporate headquarters in Charlotte. So this actually provides core on which you can build ecosystem around it. So that's one strategy which I can share, like to have a more sustenance perspective, how you can grow a tier 2 or an emerging hub. The second point is we also need to understand that we should little bit, there is especially at the leadership level, at the decision making, we should not think that, okay, if you go and put it in Madurai or Tiruchi, how it will be, right? We should be ready to challenge, right? As Mani mentioned, right? In the early 90s, many American companies came and looked at, or many, not in America or Europe, in whatever countries, right? So when they looked at the infrastructure, if they would have thought about it, hey, whether they will be able to deliver, today we won't have many of this industry that we are today talking about, right? So as a leadership position, we should not be afraid or shy away and say whether this will happen or not, right? It should be taking that bold call to do. And there are enough examples, right? May not be, the IT was not there in Sivakasi, Virudhunagar area 60 years back. The Sivakasi industry is well known for many of the world famous cracker industry, or it be in printing industry, right, or it in the edible oil processing, right? So those were entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurial mindset is there in that region, right? So it's just that it didn't happen in software. So we should believe in the talent and go and do, and you will never repent. That's all I can say.
So that's also a very good thought, Krishna. See, one is the ecosystem trying to come together and deliver. But one of the things which I would like to share, for a long time, we used to believe that we should first talk about who we are, where we are coming from, and that will be our calling card, right? Then we realized that customers are not really that worried about where we are, as long as you are talking relevance to them. So one of the things which we've now done in our own organization, we've named our centers instead of the locations which I named. We now have a center for computer vision in TN. Even the name board has changed, because then it brings in a lot of passion for the people to learn, and they're not looking at, okay, we are in emerging place and all of that. They're looking at the customers, right? We have a center for AI in the Umagine Center. So that's one thing which you are saying, that the relevance to the market is going to override everything, which is also going to bring whatever the benefits which we are aiming for. So that's my summary, and we will now be open for questions. We have another 8 minutes to go. Yes, sir. Oh, we need a mic. My request is just please be brief with the question. You can tell us whom you want to answer.
Sure. My name is Manivannan. I'm from the UK. I'm just visiting, so I just using the opportunity to come and hear of the sessions. The question is around some of the technologies that we have around AI. We know AI is just an enabler. It will essentially, the business value is important. How do you, from your tier 2 cities, how do you bring that value to the clients? How do you say that don't need to worry about where we are located? We still have the people who can still deliver that business value to all of your customers. How do you instill that? You already sold the story, but how do you, in the present circumstances with the technologies that we have, how do you sell that story again?
Address?
I can take the question. Just briefly, I can give you a perspective quickly. So I think one of the things we were talking about, workforce and workplace, I think it is important to tell the customers, see, customers' trust in scaling up tier 2 is very, very important, right? So having the right set of security protocols. And I just remember when you asked this question, so we delivered for one of the Fortune 5 companies, the world's largest automotive companies, and part of the team is based out of Trichy, right? And how you create the distributed workforce is very important. So the product development is done from Belgium. We have a team in Atlanta, and the Scrum and the BA team is based out of Trichy, right? So there is no way we can go to the customer and say that we might not deliver something because of tier 2, right? So it should be a compelling case study what we create, and we go to the customer. And sometimes it takes time. Only if you deliver, you can build that trust with the customer.
Just want to add a point to that, especially on the AI part, right? So there's definitely a debate largely about AI is going to diminish jobs or create more jobs. We had a similar debate even when computers were introduced, automation came in. So there is no real answer which we know today. But the way we responded is to look at this as an opportunity. So coming back to AI specifically, yes, does AI will automate many things to make the process more efficient, but it also opens up an opportunity. For example, today the entire AI is moving to agentic AI and voice-based comprehensions and all of that. If you were to imagine in Indian context, it would mean not just the 22 languages, but including dialects. And there is no product which is going to address it tomorrow. Siri is not going to talk in Bhojpuri tomorrow morning for sure. But there is a huge opportunity in that journey, whether it is training data sets, whether it's building models, algorithms, which you can only do, which we can only do. You cannot get a Godavari Telugu from other than that place, right? So there's an opportunity. I'm sure that's how we'll respond. Thank you. Can we have some more? Any other questions? Yeah, please, sir. No, they won't ask.
Yes, we're very well convinced. We are all in favor of Beyond Chennai approach. Maybe, but it's not any question, sir, in to your question that what are the strategies that we can recommend to build emerging technologies in the Beyond Chennai? One suggestion is like you imagine 2023, 2024, 2025, we are still sitting in Chennai discussing about Beyond Chennai. Maybe in front of your business icons like you sits, maybe a recommendation is maybe you can discuss with the decision makers, and if you imagine happens beyond Chennai, that itself is a big strategy to start with. So.
Thank you very much, sir. I think this will put us a spotlight in everything, but I would request everybody's listening, whoever the decision makers. And no, I think a lot of people, leaders have done it. You would have seen even the some of the chief ministers taking their cabinet to small towns in Andhra, Bihar. So there are examples in doing that. In fact, within NASSCOM, we were trying to host a conference simultaneously in all these 4 cities. They've done, the NTC is now happening in 10 cities, but it's in a sequence. So we were trying to see whether Trichy, Madurai, all of them host something at the same time, which would be a message by itself, because we would certainly need, I'm sure 25 will meet there then. Sorry, 26. Any more questions? Anybody? All comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you, panelists. Very inspiring. My question is around the actual concept of growth, right? So if you look at why companies set up centers, global centers in India, the generic assumption is cost, right? And generally speaking, most organizations go to tier 2 and tier 3, probably because Chennai has been saturated from a cost perspective, and then cost is the only value that you look at, right? So since we're looking at a complete ecosystem, what other ways that we can think of in terms of delivering value apart from being cheaper and cost effective?
Anybody? Yeah, sure.
So yeah, you're right. Like so, cost arbitrage is one thing which usually is a decision factor to move, like even from US to India, right? But as you know, right, over 3 decades of operation, that alone cannot sustain an organization, because there are other regions which will also kind of start competing at that price point. So, and the jobs may shift, and that hasn't really happened, because as an industry, if you look at last 30 years, we are able to bring some value, right? The same logic applies to tier 2, right? One of the unique things that I was mentioning in the earlier panel discussion was like, if you are operating from tier 2, you are in a very vantage point to understand the needs of the region, actually, right? So sitting in Chennai, you may not know what the real needs are in other part of Tamil Nadu, right? Or maybe in other part of India, right? So if you are having an operation there, you can understand the local needs, and there could be many things could be served, right? Just to give an example, right? Today, if you travel in any Bharat Benz bus which travels between, let's say, Trichy to Chennai or Madurai to Chennai, you see the amount of sensor and automation in the driver's cockpit. It looks more like an aircraft cockpit than a bus, right? So much development has happened, right? So how this would have happened is because there is some thought process going on that, okay, even the transportation is not just aerospace, right? It's local, right? There is railways, there is bus. So if you can actually, by being in these emerging regions, if you can understand the business needs, we could deploy AI, we could deploy cybersecurity, we could deploy sustainability, and create a very unique value and create more business opportunities that is not even unraveled, unearthed, and we could address that. So that's a very strong USP apart from cost for emerging regions, I would say.
I don't think.
No, one point, last point I want to close, at least from an Infosys standpoint. See, while till the time the tier 2 center set up, right? For example, one of our campuses is in Mahindra City. So what we are doing is we are trying to attract talent around the tier 2 locations, right, to this Mahindra city. And later, when the tier 2 locations get set up, we are willing to move them. So that's how we set up Coimbatore, for example. Nearly 1,000 people from Mahindra city moved there. So one of the idea is to attract talent in and around Mahindra city to hire them there. And future, as we set up tier 2 locations, we give them priority to move to closer to their native place. There's another strategy I just wanted to highlight. Thank you.
No, I feel first of all it's changing. I don't think it's a cost arbitrage anymore, because 10 years ago, I don't think anybody believed that we will build products in India. Today, Tamil Nadu is the SaaS capital of the world, right? So things are changing, definitely. And even if you look at the GCC trends, right, I think the value what we are generating is more from research and digital engineering, just not captive units. So absolutely, it's a good starting point, but I think we will see far more strategic work getting for us in India. Thank you.
Yes, I just want to add one last point for you and for the session. There is also a big drive for large corporations about the ESG matrix, right? So I was telling with the panelists that today when we are starting up these centers, we have an opportunity to redesign the entire opportunity in a way it will be more sustainable, whether it is local economics, the people, or even the usage of carbon footprints, or any of the things which the development has already happened in the West or even in large cities. We don't have to replicate a Bangalore, the current Bangalore, in any of our hubs. So we have an opportunity to redesign. I'm sure that will bring out more innovative solutions. With that, we'll close. Time's up, it says. Thank you very much for the patience, and I thank all the fellow panelists.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the very insightful and informative session. It was really interesting, and especially the Q&A session. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, can you give a big round of applause to the panelists here, please? Now, may I request Ms. Vishnupriya, Deputy Collector, Tamil Nadu E-Governance, to please felicitate our panelist over here. Requesting you to felicitate the moderator. We have Mr. Manivannan JK, CEO, Desicrew. And also Mr. Chandranandakumar, AVP, Delivery Head, Chennai Development Center, Executive Council Leader, Infosys. We also request you to felicitate Mr. Krishnamani, Honeywell, Madurai. And Mr. Oliver Sam, Chief Human Resources Officer. Thank you so much. Can we all join for the group photograph, please? And ladies and gentlemen, one more time, can we give a big round of applause for the panelists here for the panel discussion? So now the next panel discussion is really interesting topic, because it is all about the future, and the future is here in front of us as students and the faculty members. So the next panel discussion is going to be for the topic, Future Ready Tamil Nadu, Scaling Emerging Tech Ecosystems. So we do have our moderators and speakers ready for us. I'm repeating the topic again for you. The next panel discussion topic is going to be Future Ready Tamil Nadu, Scaling Emerging Tech Ecosystems. All right, requesting the students and all the people to please get settled. We are going to start with the next panel discussion now. And I could see a lot of networking that is happening off stage. And guys, please be seated, because we are going to start with the next panel discussion now. So the next panel discussion that is going to be on the topic Future Ready Tamil Nadu Scaling Emerging Tech Ecosystems. May I request a moderator for this particular panel discussion, Ms. Krishnaveni Singaram, Director of Technology, Nielsen IQ, to please join the dais. All right, requesting the students to please take your seats, because we are going to start with the next topic. So again, I'm repeating, the students can take your seat. So I think we will be having a next 5 minutes for the networking session. So then we will be starting with the panel discussion. Thank you. useful for the students and also the faculties over here, and especially for the startups. Can we have those ladies to get seated, please? Yes. So the next panel discussion topic is going to be Future Ready Tamil Nadu, Scaling Emerging Tech Ecosystems. So now may I request the moderator for this particular panel discussion, Ms. Krishnaveni Singaram, Director of Technology, Nielsen IQ, to please join the dais. Let's give a huge round of applause, please. Ms. Krishnaveni Singaram, with over 20 years of IT industry experience, serves as the Director of Technology at Nielsen IQ, leading the front-end solutions of data unit. She oversees the delivery and maintenance of 25 plus mobile and web applications and has successfully established and leads the mobile community of practice at NIQ. And it's a very pleasure to have you here, ma'am. And now may I request the speakers on stage, please. May I request Dr. Tyagarajan T, Pro Vice Chancellor, VIT Chennai campus, to please join the dais. Dr. T. Tyagarajan obtained PhD in Intelligent Control from Anna University, Chennai, and postdoctoral research work in auto-tuning at National Taiwan University, and underwent training in USA and UK under TEQ-IP and Erasmus+. And it's a very happy moment to have you here, sir. Thank you. And may I request the next speaker, Mr. Anand Kapoor, Group CIO at Strive Double Line Grammar and Learning Mate, to please join the dais. Mr. Anand Kapoor has over 25 years of experience in leading global IT operations and driving digital transformation. He leads technology initiatives across Strive's global brands, including enterprise platform implementations, cloud solutions, and robust cybersecurity frameworks. Mr. Anand is also passionate about mentoring early-stage startups, guiding their technology adoption and growth strategies. Now, last but not least, may I request Mr. Dinagaran Vinayagamurthy, Quantum Innovation Center Lead, India and Singapore, IBM Quantum, to please join the dais. Dr. Dinagaran Vinayagamurthy is the Quantum Innovation Center Lead for India at IBM Quantum, where he manages quantum research and business partnerships in the region. He has received the Best Paper Finalist Award at ACM CCS, IBM Internal Awards like Outstanding Technical Accomplishments, Technical Collaboration Achievement. And we are very proud that you are here for us, sir. Thank you so much, and handing over to the moderator.
Thank you for the introductions. Good afternoon, everyone. It's lunchtime, feeling hungry. It's okay. Okay. So today's topic is interesting. It's Future Ready Tamil Nadu, Scaling Emerging Tech Ecosystems, right? When we talk about emerging tech ecosystems, it's vast and a continuously evolving landscape, isn't it? So whenever there is a new technology comes in, obviously there needs to be an ecosystem that has to continuously grow to accommodate, adapt, and foster the innovations, right? So that's what we are going to discuss about. We have our wonderful panelists here who will be sharing their thoughts, insights, and their recommendations around how to make the state, Tamil Nadu, future ready for this emerging technologies. Okay, we will be discussing about 3 different segments in this discussion, right? One, we will be discussing about, examining about the current state of Tamil Nadu. What are the unique advantages the government holds, the Tamil Nadu state holds to accommodate these emerging technologies or to build the ecosystem around these technologies. And the second part would be, we'll be discussing about what are the key factors that need to be addressed to make it a global leader or a leader in this emerging tech space, right? So that will be our discussion. Finally, we will conclude with our thoughts. What would be the critical factors to be addressed for the next 2 to 3 years, right? Like the immediate steps to be taken from the government perspective or industrial leaders perspective, startups, academia. So how can we work together to make this ecosystem scalable and stronger? That's how the discussion is going to be. I'll ask our panelists to give a brief introduction about their current role and how they are working towards rolling out the solutions around these technologies. And we have our great academician here, and he'll be sharing his insights around how he is getting the talent ready to make it industry ready, to make the talent industry ready, right? So he'll be sharing insights around it. So let me start with Dr. Tyagarajan, sir, please.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks to Madam Krishnaveni. Nalla introduce panninga. Unga peruma? Sana. Yeah, thanks for nice introduction. As Madam told before, you are all hungry before you become angry. Will not extend it. So the level playing is 2 to 3 minutes first round, and another 2 to 3 minutes in the second round. Is that okay? Loud yes? Yeah. So happy New Year to all of you. Please settle down quickly. So the topic, very nice topic, emerging technology. What is the kind of ecosystem we should think of? Topic is clear. Emerging technologies. What kind of ecosystem we should have to cope up with that emerging technology? So being an academic institution head, I will talk in that vertical. Is that okay? Academic institutions, what kind of ecosystem we should have. So in the first round, I thought I'll give the template. How do we look at this one is, first we should identify what are the kinds of emerging technologies we have. Then we should think of in what socially conscious applications we can use this emerging technology. The third point, what we can think of, which I will come in the second round, is what is the ecosystem in those lines. So quickly, emerging technology, a tool, I will put it in 3 verticals. One is, of course, everybody talks of A for Apple has gone, A for AI. So IT. So what are the kinds of emerging technologies in this IT field? AI, data science, our expertise here, quantum computing, blockchain technology, cyber security, or what is the other one? Can somebody tell me? In IT field, emerging technology, I told AI, data science, quantum computing, blockchain, machine learning. In IT field, IT, IoT. Yeah. The second vertical can be in the circuit stream, like electrical, electronics. Can you suggest one area, emerging technology? Embedded system, God bless you, embedded system, nano electronics. And then VLSI, signal processing, image processing, flexible electronics. You heard of that word? Flexible electronics. This is another vertical, the so-called emerging technology. Third vertical is non-circuit branches. For example, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. Can you suggest one word in mechanical engineering, some emerging technology? Additive manufacturing. Heard of that? Rapid prototyping or additive manufacturing. Generative design. Heard of that? So these are some of the emerging technologies we can think of. The second vertical, what I wanted to spend some time, another 1 minute, is these are all the tools, but this has to be used for a socially conscious application. You have heard of SDG? Can somebody expand SDG? Sustainable development. There are 17 sustainable goals. Let's embrace something that is relevant to this part of the globe. Say healthcare. All of us agree? Using that emerging technology for healthcare application. One more, can you suggest? Socially conscious application area. Agriculture. Healthcare, agriculture. Can you suggest one more socially conscious area where you can use this emerging technology? Energy. God bless you. Yaar the energy? Give him an applaud, I say. Big applaud. Energy. Now one more E, which is very important. Environment. Environment. Clean water. So like your VIBGR, you remember hockey, HACEE. Healthcare, H for healthcare, A for agriculture, C for clean water, E for energy, E for environment. I stop here. So I try to tell you the technologies, emerging technologies. I try to tell you the areas where you can do. In my second round, I tell you how an ecosystem can be to combine these two. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tyagarajan. That's sort of hard to top. So I'll instead sort of give you a quick introduction of what my firm does and what I do. My name's Anand Kapoor. I'm the CIO for Strive. Strive has a 40-year history in research content development, and about 30% of the world's research passes through our doors. We operate in three large verticals. We've got data digitalized operations, and we've got ed tech, and we've got data and AI. And we identify ourselves as a data and AI specialized firm. And while everybody talks about AI, we forget a very important thing, and that's what we aim to do, which is put the expert in the loop. Because as much as AI is poised to change the world, what we miss is that the human in the loop is still going to be important, and you need the human in there to make a human decision, right? And that's what we focus on. I'll pass on my colleague for his introduction, Doctor.
Yeah, hello everyone who is here. I think Professor Tyagarajan had set up a great base in terms of what the discussion of the panel is going to be in terms of emerging ecosystems, and Anand built on it to talk about what he has been doing. So just for a quick introduction, I'm Dinakaran. I'm a Quantum Innovation Center lead for IBM, and I'm also an adjunct professor at IIT Madras. And the thing about emerging ecosystems, right? I mean, in terms of any technology, like you hear about it, so let's say it's AI or quantum. So irrespective of whether you're a student or you work in an industry, or you want to start up something, or you're a teacher, you want to motivate the next generation of students. The thing with emerging ecosystems the emerging technologies is that you'll have to always keep up with it, right? So if it's like a new area, it takes more effort to be the leader of such technologies, right? So it's something that it's good to study foundations for it, like when you are a student, okay? And start about how you would apply it for your day-to-day use cases, okay? So yeah, I think I'll just pause here for this round, and then I'll come back to this for the next.
Yeah, thank you. So I hope the context is set. I see a lot of students here, and I hope some from startup. So are we set for the context? Like, Are we all good? Any questions around what is this all about? What is emerging technology? Any questions do you have before we proceed further into the details? All good? Okay, good. So before I pass the mic to others, to my first question, I would like to start with my experience, right? So I have 20 years of experience in the IT industry. And currently, I work at a organization called Nielsen IQ. Okay, I lead the data acquisition unit there. If you see the last 20 years, the last decade, the last 10 years, the growth has been tremendous, right? Like there were a lot of new technologies. The approach towards the development has changed. And the emerging technology, the term is very contextual and it keeps changing for every year. Last year, if you see for the past year, 2024, the research firms listed a set of technologies as emerging technologies, right? If you see the lists, they are different, right? McKinsey, as a firm, as a research firm, they list a set of technologies. And if you see World Economic Forum's article, it lists different because the contexts are different, applications are different, and the potential of each technology is multifold, right? One example I would like to take in my current organization, right? The data collection is a process. The company has started the data collection using pen and paper. Now it has come a long way. And now we are using our mobile apps to do the data collection. I'm leading an initiative to introduce conversational AI in the process of data collection, right? So this use case, no product discussion now or no business use case currently ends up without discussing an use case around artificial intelligence, right? That's how it is currently. So for any emerging technology, I see there are 4 key pillars. One is the infrastructure, right? The infrastructure that enables the innovations around these technologies. That is one. And the second thing is the talent, right? You need a good set of talent to build these solutions. And the third part is the governance around these. It's very, very, very critical factor. These technologies, as fast as they develop, it also raises concerns around our safety and security, right? Any AI technology you take, obviously you have some safety concerns. I have kids at the age of 11 and 6. They know what ChatGPT is, right? For any of their academic questions, they tell that, Amma, ask ChatGPT. That's how it is. As a mother and as a technical person, I know what are the challenges in using the tool. It's enriching, it's enabling. At the same time, it's a bit scary because I used to show them that, see, it has a disclaimer saying that ChatGPT can make mistakes, right? And we have to understand that the technology is still evolving, and the government has to come up with the processes and policies, and also the organizations who are developing these tools, they need to come up with their own set of standards to evaluate the tools and the platforms before it goes to the use of any user, right? So governance and policies is the next pillar. And fourth pillar is around collaborations and partnership. How do we collaborate among industry leaders, government, startups, academia? That's very important one, right? So these 4 pillars, I feel they are important to enable any ecosystem and scale any ecosystem, right? So my next question is around that. We need to evaluate how Tamil Nadu government hold unique advantages on these lines to scale the emerging ecosystem, right? So I'll hand it over to maybe.
Please give a big applause.
I'll ask Anand to take up a few minutes to answer this question. Yeah.
Sure. So maybe you want to rephrase the question once more.
Yeah. In your view, what are the unique advantages Tamil Nadu hold to enable this emerging tech ecosystem?
I think as a state, we're best placed in the country, and not just the country, in the region. Um, and for a lot of, I'll sort of enumerate them. Just to give you a little context, my firm, the current firm, it has a 40-year history. We started in the Philippines 40 years ago, and we operate out of 5 continents. But the largest part of the workforce comes from Tamil Nadu. That's not just the centers that we have, and we have centers in Pondicherry, we've got centers in Trichy, we've got centers in Chennai. We used to operate out of Salem, but also in our other centers in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, in Manila, we've got folks from our state who are operating there. So and that sort of tells us that there are 3 or 4 reasons why that's happening. The first one, we've got to thank the likes of Dr. Tyagarajan. We've got a very strong academic foundation. Our institutions are heads and shoulder, both in terms of count as well as in terms of quality, ahead of the curve. Ahead of the curve in terms of the baseline. Let's sort of qualify that. The second is for a large reason, and you look where we're sitting, right? This is government funded, sponsored in a lot of ways. So the governance is already focused in realizing that the way forward is emerging tech. And what better way to capitalize that than the previous investments that have been made? So, which brings me to the third topic, which is our environment. We've got a rich environment which has both manufacturing as well as IT in place, right? So, if you look at deep tech, if you look at emerging tech, the play is going to be on top of that. So, if we go back to all the emerging tech that our audience sort of yelled out. Right? IoT, what better application than to run a startup that works with, let's say, an automotive industry based out of Tamil Nadu, with an IT firm, right? So in a lot of ways, you're able to put together technology that comes through thanks to good governance, a rich pool of talent that comes in from all the educational institutions we've got, backed by assistance from the government, whether it is the Tamil Nadu blockchain policy, right, or the incubators that are set up. I mean, IIT Madras has an incubator not far off where I think you were yesterday. So these 3 factors sort of drive a significant push for me to say, look, Tamil Nadu is ahead of the competition to outperform, in the region. Other than that, there are some 2 more factors that we don't sort of realize. One is obviously our connectivity. Compared to the neighboring state, for example, we've got more international airports. We've got some of the country's largest ports that operate here. So it's easier to bring stuff in. It's easier to move around. And that obviously is the heart of good business. And there is another nuance, right, which goes back to our appreciation for language and culture, right? And this is a personal view, of course, but if you're able to speak, for example, Tamil, you're able to understand nuances of coding language better. I'm not going to bank it up with a scientific claim, but I sort of, just out of gut experience of having looked at folks over the years and been working in over 25 years, that's just a gut that I wanted to put out there. Those, I think, are the factors that make me say that we are well poised in the region and in the country to take advantage of all these emerging tech.
Thank you. Well said. How many of you quantum here? The basics of quantum. Anyone has part of your syllabus? And that's good. Okay. Quantum is still a buzzword, right? And it's very interesting thing to know about because there are a lot of unknowns for many of us. Dinakaran, he's leading the quantum computing from his organization, so I would like to hear for the same question. So in your view, how Tamil Nadu is placed to enable this? Because I understand that it completely needs a different infrastructure for experimentation and all those things. That's a very unique thing. What's your view on that?
So I think, I mean, I would say for any emerging technology, maybe not just for quantum, I think Anand has put a extremely good articulation of why Tamil Nadu is well poised to do it. I mean, maybe I would actually encourage you guys to think about what he said, because I mean, I've lived in a few countries and seen a few environments, but it takes decades of effort from across governments, educational institutions, and industries to leave us in an extremely privileged situation that we are in right now. That in fact lets us think about, okay, how do we advance the tech and do it? Okay, so now coming into quantum computing, it's similar to, let's say, how AI was 10 years ago, right? So let's say, like, when did you guys first hear about artificial intelligence? Can anyone say the year in which they first heard about it or started using it? Yeah? 2020 lockdown. Okay, good. Anyone else? 2020. Okay. Cool. So I think the first time, let's say, the world sort of started paying a serious attention about it is, let's say, 2012. Okay, that is when the so-called deep learning technology was sort of widely applied to a competition that for the first time AI was winning it. Okay, before that, the previous methods using it. Now we are in a sort of a similar stage for quantum computing. Okay, so quantum computers have reached a stage where it can do things faster than the current supercomputers that we have, but it's just starting up. Okay, so one can leverage the good things that the Tamil Nadu ecosystem has. Okay, which is that we have good educational institutions, we have industries across sectors ranging from electronics to manufacturing, automobile to IT, right? And of course, like many others. So the reason why I'm bringing this spectrum of things that we have here for quantum computing is that since it's a new type of a computer, okay, so one has to build the hardware to like one has to build the electronics and the hardware as a base layer to start with, and then on top of which you'll have to build some of the core software modules, let's say the operating system, instruction set architecture, whatever. Like if you're an electronics student, maybe you would have seen those in traditional computers, and on top of which you have to build algorithms and applications that can be useful for different domains, let's say pharma or manufacturing or chemistry. So since it needs the whole spectrum of expertise coming in from different areas, and it's an emerging technology, right? I mean, okay, sorry, maybe I'm just reusing the term emerging, but since it's being built as we speak, right? It's still relatively new, it's being built. Given our broad ecosystem in Tamil Nadu, it places us in our unique position to contribute. A single person or a single institution cannot be an expert in all this. Each of this needs sort of decades of experience to be good at each specific component. But given that we have an ecosystem that has a broad range of expertise already, it places us in a very good position to take whatever our interest is, whatever our institution's interest is, and look at that part. But overall, like when pieces are put together, if for quantum computing, we are in actually a unique position to do very well.
Thank you. I would like to hear from Tyagarajan sir on this, your view around how Tamil Nadu is positioned.
Yeah, the question is what is the ecosystem we have in Tamil Nadu spearheaded by government? That's the question. Yeah, one interesting thing that is I wanted to share with all of you is you heard of GER? You heard of that? GER? Graduate Enrollment Ratio. How many students are getting into the higher education? The nation has a benchmark which is 50%. At least 50% should be the number for this GER. The national average, if you see as of now, is around 28%, whereas Tamil Nadu, it is 48%. So that is the ecosystem inbuilt here. Big applaud, not for me, for that initiative. Big applaud. Nation says 50% is the target. National average, if you take all the states and see the average, it is 28%. But Tamil Nadu already has achieved around 48%. Aur kya chahiye? Where enna vedum namakku? So that's the ecosystem that reflects. At micro level, if you see, have you heard of non-Mudalvan scheme? Yes or no? Loud yes or no? That's something great. The so-called emerging technology skills are imbibed in you by pulling industry people, giving hands-on experience to you as a value addition in addition to your regular curriculum theory and lab. Non-Mudalvan scheme. One step ahead for the students of higher order learning, the Tamil Nadu government also gives project funding through TNSCST, Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology. They give funding to do projects on the so-called emerging technologies for all the students based on the merit. For the teachers, they give CM Research Fellowship in the emerging technology. So these are some of the 2-3 things that comes in my mind immediately about the question Madam has asked, what is the kind of ecosystem we have. Over to moderator.
Would you like to add some more around how academia is enabling this, sir? How academia is placed to handle these emerging technologies?
That's a good question. Maybe can I take about 5 minutes?
Yes, please.
Yeah. There are many students are here, so I will orient my answer towards the students' perspective. Friends, when you look at the studies, the days have gone where you have a structured syllabus and the teacher comes with the textbook that is given in that curriculum. Based on that, they teach and then go. That system will no longer be liked by our industry colleagues here. So then what is that new? What kind of ecosystem we need to have? I put it in 3 perspectives. One is academics, one is research, third is extension. In the academics, in addition to your regular curriculum, you need to embrace value-added program, value-added courses you need to embrace based on the emerging technology. I'm an affiliated institute. The syllabus is defined by the university. I don't have choice means nobody stops us to learn the value-added program, aligning with the industry's requirement in the emerging technology. Internships, industrial training, the capstone projects. Nobody stops us to embrace emerging technology, though it is not defined in your syllabus or curriculum. So that kind of ecosystem you should have as far as the academics is concerned. The assignments you do, the design challenges, the THON events. What is the THON events? Hackathon, Mobathon, Salvathon, Codathon, whatever thon you want to call. All those thons, nobody stops you to participate. So you need to participate in that, get that hands-on experience with the emerging technology. So this is one vertical I have. The second vertical is about the research aspects. In the education policies defined wherever it is defined, the undergraduate students also should embrace a research culture during that undergraduate program. Your projects, your mini project or major projects, or your faculty member who has a sponsored research in his hand, you can become a project associate there, earn while learning. You can have some kind of a stipend through that project fund, become a part of that project. You get a certificate from the teacher that he is the student of that Tamil Nadu government sponsored research project or central government research DST sponsored project. He is a project associate. If you come and handshake with our colleague here, they will say you are on board. Not the CGPA alone that makes. So that's the kind of ecosystem you need to embrace when you look at this research concept. Multidisciplinary research, interdisciplinary research, translational research. ChatGPT வச்சு பாருங்க என்னெல்லாம் ஒன்னொன்னுத்துக்கும் என்ன மீனிங் இருக்கு அப்படின்னு. Translational research, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary research. So if that you can learn, ஒரு ரோபோ பண்றோம். இப்போ அங்க கூட பாத்தீங்க, somebody was displaying a underwater robo. Definitely it cannot be done by a mechanical engineer alone. You need to have an electronic engineer, instrumentation engineer, or a computer science programming, integrating software and hardware. So that is the multidisciplinary research. So you need to embrace that kind of mindset when you are talking about the research. And the third one is, the last one, I have a couple of minutes, ma'am?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, third one is the entrepreneurship mindset. That's what our two colleagues from here, they were talking about. In the curriculum itself, they defined courses on entrepreneurship, professional ethics, lifelong learning, communication skills. All these are already embedded in that. Generally, we don't take those courses very seriously. But we need to spend a quality time to embrace those words. For example, you say, we have conducted, what do you call that? Boot camp. அப்படின்ற word you might not have heard. It's out of syllabus. But boot camp is a very important word in the startup and entrepreneurship. So you need to embrace that kind of mindset. Whether you want to take up a job, then the earlier one. If you want to go for the entrepreneurship kind of thing, so you have to tune your mind for this kind of. Thank you, ma'am.
Great. Thank you, sir. Can you give a big round of applause here? Okay. To summarize, I would like to call out some of the other advantages or how Tamil Nadu is positioned uniquely in this ecosystem, right? As Sir called out, non-Mudalvan, I hope many of you know, right? So it's amazing to know that through non-Mudalvan, that scheme, at least 2.8 million, 28 lakh students were upskilled, right? For industry ready, right? When I say industry ready, many of you would have applied for internships for some companies, right? So the purpose of it is to, when you start with a company, you are expected to be productive immediately. That's what it is, right? Obviously, you will go through all the trainings and other things, but even to take that, you should be ready enough and you should be equipped enough with the knowledge around that particular industry, right? That's how the industry is now, right? The people are expecting, the organizations are expecting that, or we are working very closely with universities to make the final year students or third year students, whoever we go for, to make them industry ready for the training. So government is doing that very well in that space through non-Mudalvan, and it's a very serious initiative taken by the government, right? That is from the talent part. And the other part, I talked about infrastructure, right? Do you all know what is internet penetration, right? How, right? So when I talked about the data acquisition use case from my industry, when people go for data collection for the products, see, Nielsen IQ, my organization, it provides consumer intelligence for fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG, and tech and durable industries. Okay, so people go to stores to collect the data about the products, so that the clients or the products can take the insights and then they can strategize their selling, manufacturing, and all those things. That's where it is, right? So when people, at least Nielsen IQ, in Tamil Nadu, there are thousands of stores that the people visit, and we are covering almost 30 plus cities. It covers both urban and rural, right? In urban, you can imagine the better connectivity, but when you go to rural areas, obviously you can understand the challenges from the connectivity perspective, right? But Tamil Nadu stands at a very good percentage of 50% of internet penetration, which is a leading percentage among Indian states. Okay, that's the infrastructure related advantage that Tamil Nadu has. And as Honorable Minister, IT Minister called out at a conference, Tamil Nadu is working to provide 1 Gbps connectivity for at least 12K plus villages, right? It's kind of, if it comes to execution, or it's already being executed, once it is completed, then imagine the fast at which the solutions can be rolled out, right? I mean, there wouldn't be any connectivity related constraints for any of our organizations to experiment, innovate, right? The connectivity wouldn't be a problem. So that's one of the schemes that I wanted to call out from the infrastructure perspective. And from the talent perspective also, and the collaboration and partnerships from academia, startups, and industry leaders, there is a think tank called ITNT Hub. Okay, so that works. It's funded by both central government and Tamil Nadu government, and it closely works with the industries, startups, and academia for enabling the research. Okay, and they are doing a very good job of working with startups to address some of the government-related use cases through these emerging technologies. Right? Those are the smaller things that we can just go and explore how Tamil Nadu government is taking serious on building the ecosystem for these kind of technologies, right? When it comes to policies and processes, as I called out as the third pillar, as Anand has called out, Tamil Nadu is the first state to come up with to publish the policies for artificial intelligence, safe, ethical and safe AI policy, blockchain policy, and cybersecurity policy. This is the first state in India to come up with those policies, right? So that's very important, right? And also, again, Honorable IT Minister has called out that they have rolled out startup-friendly policies, right? Which enable startups to go through a easy process without any tender and all those things. So it makes easy for the startups to approach government to roll out the solutions without going through any hassle processes and all those things, right? So these are the things I think we need to understand, and we need to collaborate with the government as organizations, as academic institutions, research institutions, to make better use of, to leverage these advantages in building this ecosystem. Thank you. And moving to the other question, I'll start with Dinakaran. Quantum, again, it's being the new technology. What are the factors you think Tamil Nadu has, or as a government, it has to start working on?
Okay, so yeah. I think maybe given the audience, I was probably tune it to like, okay, what is that we think it will be good for the people present here to do, so that we have a more mature, let's say, deep tech or emerging tech ecosystem, right? I think there is so many good things and systems and initiatives that government and industries have taken, that next steps, okay, what are the things that you can do? Okay, the thing is, whatever you want to learn or whatever you want to be ready for industry, or you want to start something yourself, there is so much things available, whether it's as basic as using Microsoft Excel, or as advanced as developing machine learning models for some complex task, or even supposed to be as futuristic as I don't know, very high tech as quantum computing, right? Developing quantum computing programs or applications. For the entire spectrum, there is resources available online for you to go hands-on, play with it. You can develop things yourself. Okay, there is so many resources, and ipo Microsoft Excel na, you will know that there is a lot of resource available. But even if it's a quantum computer, you can just log into, let's say IBM, we have quantum.ibm.com on the website la poningna, you can access the state of art quantum computers that has sort of been in the world. Okay, illa AI poningna, there is so many like companies and tools available online, open source tools available online that you can play with on top of what has been taught. Okay, like sir mentioned, curriculum takes years to mature, but the amount of internet has helped us get access to the most advanced tools that let's say like Facebook uses for image recognition, Google uses to search I don't know, like billions, or I think it has crossed billions of records of data, or whatever tools are available. It is available, most of them is available as open source for you to play with it. Okay, so it's just be bold and then try to, like, whatever, like, fix an area of interest, go deep into it and play with it. Okay, and then you should also talk to whoever you know, like relatives or friends who is working in industry, to understand, okay, what is that you need to do to either equip yourself or like go to the next level of maturity beyond what is taught. Okay, I mean, it will probably link to using these tools in a good manner, but that is the attitude that will be good to have, whether you are early in the career, you want to equip yourself, or if you want to students. There are so many tools available and initiatives available, whether it's from basic tech to very deep tech. Just go out and like equip yourselves with that. I think that is something I would conclude.
Yep, thank you. Going to Anand, in your view, what are the factors that as a state, as a government, the Tamil Nadu has to focus on to scale the emerging tech ecosystem?
So, anybody plays sport here? Any sort of sport? Fabulous. So, and I say this, I'm an endurance athlete myself. So I say this to myself, I say this to you, I say this to the government, I say this to every one of you as a student, as an individual. What got you here will not take you forward. It got you here. That's it, right? To go forward, we need to do more. And, I'd call it the triple helix of academia, corporates, and government that need to work together to get to, provide for incubation centers, to provide for sandboxes that move away. So as an academician, right? So if I look at Dr. Tyagarajan, I'd look at him and say, I need a pool of resources. I need sandboxed environments that act as incubators, right? To the government, I turn around and say, we'd want to look at sandboxed environments for to do away, for example, with the enclosed environments, safe environments to operate with limited bureaucracy, right? Policies that enable rapid growth. That can only come in when you test it in smaller environments. And as a corporate, then we'd consume all of that, and that's why the triple helix. But more than that, to the triple helix, right? It's to put your money where your mouth is. If we're talking about emerging tech, what we should do is pick some of these and say, how can we implement them and for citizens, for the state, right, or for the country. We talk about AI here. How about AI-enabled traffic management solutions? Or we spoke about blockchain. So how about blockchain in public records, in land records, right? Why not? So those are the things where if we don't put our money where the mouth is, we are going to lose the race. And that's the important thing.
Great, thank you. Sir, from your perspective, how we collaboratively work, right, to enable or to scale this ecosystem? Could be government, industry leaders, startups, academia. So collaboratively, where we have to focus more to keep this ecosystem scalable?
Yesterday, I went through an article in Times of India, page 15, very interesting bullet points there. That is based on the World Economic Forum future of jobs. The skills in high demand is, we're going to close in 3 minutes. Yeah, the skills in high demand is, of course, AI and big data.